Podcast, marhaba, marhaba, marhaba. Hind Deer Podcast, marhaba, marhaba, marhaba. Yalla habibi, mashallah habibti, yalla.
Hey everyone, how's it going? It's been 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's been a long time since we said hi. So, hi everyone. Welcome to Hind Deer Podcast. This is Hind Deer and Brandon's.
Mahaba.
Marhaba. Marhaba.
I need to learn more Arabic words.
Marhaba sound.
Yeah. So it's been a couple weeks. We were in Utah. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Utah. How did you like Utah?
Well, I love it. It's beautiful. The canyon over there, even though it's called Zion Canyon, but it's not the actual Zion Canyon. Anyway, Zion Canyon is really like beautiful. We went to the park, Zion Park.
Zion National Park?
Zion National Park. We had fun. The nature is beautiful, but when you're not used to it, you get so tired. But I love it. We saw your grandma. She's a really, really kind and nice person. That's her secret to being old and being healthy when old.
She's 97 years old.
Yeah.
And she's still moving around. We went to what did we the group thing, her senior center. We went to the senior center with her one day and played bingo, and she won twice in a row. So when we flew out to Salt Lake City, and then we drove in a bus from Salt Lake City to Cedar City. And during that trip, we sat next to someone, and we started talking to him. And turns out he was a very devout Mormon. And it was just real funny the way the conversation went. And I started thinking, this guy didn't know a whole lot about Islam, and I know a lot of you guys are Muslim. And I'm guessing probably a lot of you guys don't know about Mormonism, so I thought it'd be interesting to talk about it because it's kind of a quirky religion. We're not making fun of Mormonism. First of all, we don't want to make fun of any religion. We just thought it would be something interesting to talk about because it's very interesting and it's different, and I'm sure in some ways you guys can relate to it, being that it's a big religion. I don't know. We'll see.
I was blocking someone. Oh, here you go. It's still there. I was
big religion. I don't know. We'll see.
How do I mute?
And what are you working on?
I'm blocking. I blocked someone who was. I was saying that I'm a whore and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, those rude people. You can go fuck yourselves.
I think you gotta go back to Instagram. But how do I mute this? There you go.
Okay.
We got rid of the bad guy.
Yeah. So. Oh my goodness, everyone's.
What the?
Yeah, guys. Feel free to interact with the show if you want to act trashy. We don't want anything to do with you. If you are desperate for attention, start a podcast or something.
She made like 10 comments.
Yeah.
Offensive comments.
Oh.
How busy she is with us. I'm like when I see these people, I'm really happy because I'm giving purpose to someone.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm taking a chunk of their time.
How special are we that someone is obsessed with us?
Yeah.
So flattering.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
are we good on YouTube? YouTube people, are you watching us? We're good because I don't see comments. It makes me think that maybe it's not working. Let us know if it's working. Qatr Nada, can you hear us? All right. So as Brandon talked to you, we went to Utah and we sat down next to a Mormon person, and we decided to talk about Mormonism this episode. Mormonism is a religion. It's kind of different than the Christianity, but they call themselves the real Christians, and they have a different account of Christianity. Jesus came here, right?
Yeah, so I'll get into it, but that's basically the idea is that Jesus came to North America, and so did the Israelites. And Joseph Smith, the founder of the religion, was able to reestablish the Church of Jesus in North America.
Wait, she's not blocked.
Let
me block her on my phone.
Okay. Which one is this one? Anyways, give me a second where we blocked this person. What a waste of time to... Anyways.
Yeah.
So when we were on this bus, we were talking to this guy, and the thing about it is Mormons, they remind me a lot of Muslims. Like, you guys have a lot in common, and I'm not in bad ways, but if you took someone who was deeply religious in the Mormon church or in the Muslim church, and you took away like them defining religious rules and stuff, they would be almost identical in the way they behave, the way they think, values, morals, all that stuff. But when we were riding next to this guy and he's talking to us about Mormon faith, at first, like, I thought maybe he's Mormon because we're in Utah and that's just the religion there. But I didn't want to be offensive, so I asked him, are you Mormon? And he was like, yeah. He was like, well, we call it Church of the Latter-day Saints, which is another word for Mormonism. But then we got to talking, and we started talking about how Hind is from the Middle East, and then he started asking about questions about the Quran. He was surprised to learn that a lot of stories that are in the Bible are in the Quran. And then it was funny because then he asked us if we were Muslim. But he was so nervous asking it. You could see like how I felt when I asked him if he was Mormon. It was like 10 times. He was like, "Are you a Muslim?
Are you the M word? Are you the M word?"
So
and then his face changed when we said yes. He's like,
yeah. I mean, it's a religion where these people are kind of isolated, and they probably hear a lot of propaganda from conservative media outlets, and so they think maybe that Islam is a totally different religion than what it is, and sometimes it may be what they think it is. I mean, Mormons are quirky. They have some interesting stuff they believe, but at the end of the day, they have a lot of... They're nice people. It's a good place to live. Actually, Salt Lake City, the capital of Utah, is considered in the top 10 places for middle-class families to live in the U.S., and it's one of the better cities to live in, so quality of life there. So they're doing a lot of things right. Did you get her blocked?
Yeah, finally. It was so hard to block. I blocked her from Hind Deer Podcast, and I realized I didn't block her from Hind Deer. Now I blocked her from Hind Deer.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's crazy. Like, you've been doing this stuff a while, and you have some people that just, I don't know, they're just so hateful. And you're not a hateful person. You're not.
Yeah, they're just trying to be mean. They feel empowered that way. They're not important. Let's keep going, babe.
Yeah.
Someone on YouTube, Rico on YouTube says, both are very conservative.
Very conservative. Very conservative. Also, a lot of abstinence, so no alcohol. Mormons also don't drink caffeine, so Pepsi, Coca-Cola, coffee, tea, those are taboo for Mormons. But just like you guys, they abstain from alcohol. They abstain from sex outside of marriage.
Mm-hmm. By the way, friends, WhatsApp is functioning and working. And if you want to call us, it is here.
Except the crazy girl. Crazy girl, don't call us. We don't want to talk to you.
Yeah. All right, friends. Let's read the comments on Instagram. 1F on Instagram says, hello. Hi. And IBX says, Marhaba Hind. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. This episode is about Mormonism. We're going to talk about Mormonism. Brandon did some research, looking up some information about Mormons. And 1F says, Shalomkum, which means, how are you? We are good. Thank you for asking. And Rico says, we don't need any more crazy girls. I agree. We don't need any more crazy girls. Hold on, guys. We're having a problem with WhatsApp. We don't know what's wrong, but it stopped working. So I got to leave the show for a little bit. Don't leave us. I'm going to go and get the phone.
Okay, guys. I think we got that fixed. Except we're not going to have WhatsApp right now because the phone is not charged. We found it. So anyways, we had technical issues. The wires came loose behind us, and we had to fix everything. So
Yeah.
you good? All right. Okay, so sorry about that. We're still learning, and this equipment, it's a lot of equipment actually, and we're not necessarily IT people, so we have to figure this stuff out as we go. So anyways, we were talking about Mormonism, and let's see here. Are we still signed in on all the other channels besides WhatsApp? To teach you guys about Mormonism, I want you to first understand sort of how Christianity evolved. So I don't know if you guys know a whole lot about Christianity, but obviously it's an Abrahamic religion, and most of you are Muslim, but some of you are Christian. But Christianity began in Judea, and then it was spread by the Roman Empire. And at some point, the Roman Empire split between the East and the West. So that was around 1045. And in the East, the capital was Constantinople. And in the West, it was Rome, Catholicism. And Eastern Orthodox is what led to a lot of the Christian religions you see now in the Middle East. So Egyptian Coptic, Greek Orthodox, Russian Orthodox. And they all are very similar to one another. And then in the West, the Roman Empire basically turned into a Catholic dictatorship for a long time. And that was what Christianity was, and everything was centered around the church. Then you had something called Protestantism that emerged about 500 years later. It was started by someone named Martin Luther, who was born in Germany in 1517. And Martin Luther he was a philosopher who would talk about how he thinks the church had misinterpreted the Bible and that they weren't the single church. And that led to a lot of wars. So a lot of wars in Europe fought between Protestants and Catholics. In fact, if you guys are familiar with the fighting in Ireland, a lot of that has to do with North Ireland being Catholic and the rest of Ireland being Protestant. Then you had something called the First Great Awakening, and that occurred in England and the Americas in the mid-1700s. And that was where you had a lot of people became more religious. You also had something at that time emerged called Protestantism and Quakerism. And those were real strict interpretations of the Bible. That's the reason why a lot of Americans don't know how to dance, because
It was haram.
yeah. So like things like cultural dances were removed from our culture. And a lot of things about America are because of the Protestantism and Quakerism. But then you have the First Great Awakening, which was when people really became heavily focused on religion. And then you had something that happened shortly after that called the Second Great Awakening. And the Second Great Awakening is when a lot of new religions in the United States emerged. So when we say new religions, we mean Christian religions born out of Protestantism. So they're all kind of in that line. So they all have the similar beliefs, they're biblically based religions. But the Second Great Awakening is what led to a lot of Methodists, Baptists, Pentecostals, Seventh-day Adventists, and, of course, Mormons, the Church of Latter-day Saints. All right, so Mormonism was started by someone named Joseph Smith. Do you remember when I first met you? You were telling me about Muhammad, the prophet? Mm-hmm. And you were telling me, like, he wrote a book, and it was so unusual.
It was revelated by God.
Right. And you said, who writes an entire book?
Like this.
And I said, Joseph Smith.
Yeah, he thinks, so Brandon thinks the Quran is like the Book of Mormons. They're like similar.
It's similar in the fact that they were started by people that were considered prophets by some people. Mm-hmm. They both say that they're the Word of God. They both say that they're translations. It's just similar. Doesn't mean one's right or wrong. We're not insulting religion today. We're not insulting Mormons. We're not insulting
Just
Islam.
a heads up, we're not atheist.
Yeah, but I think it's always fun to learn. Anyway, so Joseph Smith was born during the Second Great Awakening. So when he was alive, that's when a lot of people were becoming very religious, and people were talking about what's the right religion, and a lot of new denominations began. So that's one picture of it. If you notice too, if you ever go to Utah, in Utah you'll see a lot of people with blonde hair and blue eyes, and a lot of early Mormons were German, Scottish descent, and do you see a lot of people in Utah with blonde hair and blue eyes when we were there?
Yeah.
like a really large amount compared to most other places. So Joseph Smith was born in, 1805. Let me double check that. Yeah, he was born in 1805 in Vermont. And in his early life, now there's two schools of thought on this. You have Mormons who are devout Mormons who talk about Joseph Smith as a very saintly person. And you have another school of thought that sometimes tries to disparage Mormons. So they talk about Joseph Smith as a swindler and a con artist. And we're not doing either one. We're just going to say timelines of his life to tell you a little bit of background about him. So in his early life, he's rumored by one school of thought to be someone who liked to look for treasures, a treasure hunter. He used dowsing rods and seer stones to find buried treasures. Dowsing rods are like those sticks people carry in the air, and they'll ask like supernatural spirits, like, is this correct or is that correct? It's a whole thing. You ever heard of it?
No. Do they use it nowadays?
Some people use them nowadays, but a long time ago, when a lot of pioneers and everything, people would use dowsing rods and walk around and trying to find water wells. I don't know if it's kind of like using a Ouija board. I don't know if there's any science behind it, but people believe it. And he also used something called seer stones. And I think the seer stones were some rocks that he put into a hat. And when he put his face into the hat, he could see a message in his hat. Anyways,
so he claims that he can communicate with spirits to find the treasures.
Something like that. I don't know. I'm not going to 100% say that's what he thought, but it seems kind of like that.
Okay. So he started trying to find treasures.
Yeah. And there's one situation where he was actually charged with the crime for telling somebody that he could help them find treasures, and then he didn't find anything, and he was tried for being a disorderly person or something, although he was acquitted. But the story of Joseph Smith goes something like this. When he was around 14 years old, he went into the woods to pray, to ask God what was the correct religion for him to follow. And when he was in the woods praying, he saw Jesus and God appeared before him and told him that none of the religions were the correct religions, but that the true religion would be revealed soon. It's also interesting, too. Mormons don't believe in a Trinity. Mm-hmm. So they
have one God?
They believe in God.
Yeah.
But they believe that Jesus is a separate being. So
is he a prophet to them? Or a son of God?
Son of God.
So that's kind of like what we call shirk in Islam.
What's that mean?
You put with God another God. In Islam, there's only one God, no son, no daughter, no nothing, only one being. Yeah,
so this is why I thought it'd be interesting to talk about Mormons, because they have a very unique way of looking at this, and it is interesting. But yeah, so they believe that the Father, Son. So Christians believe in something called the Trinity, which is like the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, which is three entities.
In one.
Yeah, 3 in 1. So like it's one God. Mormons take a different approach, that God is Jesus' father. They also believe that Satan is Jesus' brother.
So God has 2 sons, one good and one bad. So they have a different interpretation of things.
Very different. Let's see here.
So God has 2 sons. One of them is Satan, and one of them is good, which is Jesus. And there is a conflict between Satan and good. That's their philosophy. In Islam, there is conflict between Satan and good, but the Satan is Satan, Shaitan. The good is God. And Shaitan challenged God that he would destroy us all.
This is one of the Mormon temples in St. George, where we just were. It's very beautiful. I mean, the funny thing about Mormons are that even in the United States, they're kind of a fringe religion. So a lot of Christians will sort of look down on Mormons, and they're kind of treated like a third wheel. But at the same time, they're a very influential religion. In fact, they're probably the most successful group of pioneers to settle out west in the United States. And they're worth something like $265 billion. And they control an entire state. So Utah is as close as you get in America to a theocracy, even though it's not a theocracy, but still. I just think it's interesting. Here's how much they're kind of a fringe group. When Barack Obama was running for a second term as president, Mitt Romney was who ran against him. And Mitt Romney is Mormon. So Mitt Romney was also the senator of Utah. But when Mitt Romney was running for president, he had to sort of justify the fact that he was a Mormon to the rest of America. So here's a video of Mitt Romney.
By the way, someone is asking on YouTube, Rico is asking, did you guys have a chance to meet Mitt Romney? And he was kidding.
I have a lot of respect for Mitt Romney.
Because we were in Utah last week.
And here's something I'll say about Mormons in general. Like, Mormons have very high ethics compared to some of the other groups. So conservative Christian groups in the U.S., Mormons tend to be a little more ethical than some of the other groups. They're the ones that will stand up against
injustice,
against when people are doing things wrong. Like, so Mitt Romney is one of the few Republican senators that voted to impeach Trump after Trump broke some laws during his first term. And whether or not he should have been impeached is a different story. But the fact that Mitt Romney did that when his entire party was doing something else, it takes a lot of integrity to do that. And you got to respect someone for that. Anyway, so here's Mitt Romney justifying his Mormon faith to Americans during the presidential election.
Let's see.
Have different beliefs. There are people of the Jewish faith and people of Islamic faith and other faiths who believe other things. And our president will be president of the people of all faiths. And our nation was founded on the principle of, in some respects, of religious tolerance and liberty in this land, and so we welcome people of other faiths, and I happen to believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God and my Savior, but I know other people have differing views, and I respect those views and don't believe those qualify or disqualify people for leadership in our nation, but respect the fact that in this country we welcome folks of different perspectives and views and faiths. I was very proud to live in a state like Massachusetts, where our heritage is one of welcoming people of other faiths. We had some struggles with that, as you know, in our early days as a nation. And I think over time, the great majority of us have decided that this is something that doesn't determine who should be our president or our vice president or our governor or our senator, but instead we look at the character, as Ambassador Bolton indicated, the character of the man or woman. Thank you. Please.
Yeah, so in the United States is actually a secular country where we have freedom of religion. So there's no state religion. It's against the Constitution to have a state religion. And because of that, so we maybe grow up a lot differently than people in the Middle East, whereas in the Middle East you have a dominant religion, and then you have Muslim, Christians, and Jewish, small amount Jewish now, right?
In the Middle East,
yeah.
No, they all went to Israel.
Okay, so mostly Muslim
and Christian, and that's the most denominations. But there is in Iraq, there is a little bit of like other religions. Like we have Mendais in the south. We have Yazidis in the north. They were like genocided by ISIS. What else? That's it. Muslim and Christian, for the most part.
Yeah, so mostly there's Muslims, and I think like in your government, everyone is sort of like openly Muslim, and it's almost like part of your policies to teach Islam in schools and stuff.
Yeah, I learned Islam in school. Everyone did.
Yeah, so in America it's different. Like a religion is something that's between you and your family. We all live together and get along. I love America. I love that about my country. But it's just a different way of looking at religion. So I think it's impolite to try to impose your views on someone else. And I think it's pretty arrogant when people think that they can't learn from someone else. So if you meet someone and it's an absolute stranger and you think you need to proselytize that person, that requires a tremendous amount of arrogance to assume that you have the answers and this person doesn't. I mean, you know what's the one thing that every religion has in common?
God.
They're the one true faith to someone.
Yeah. Everyone thinks the religion is the one true faith. Yeah. Including that Mormon man who was sitting next to us in the bus. He offered a phone number to his church that would teach us Mormonism. And there, at times, there are two young guys on missionary they would knock on my door and try to talk me into becoming a Mormon. I think it should not be imposed like that. If someone wants to be a Mormon or wants to be a Muslim, let's say, they go to a church or mosque if they want to be a Muslim, whatever religion they want to be, they go to that place and knock doors and try to seek knowledge. If someone wants to be that, it should not be imposed on anyone.
Yeah,
That's what
I think one thing you'll find that's similar between densely Muslim communities and densely Mormon communities is that you'll find a lot of shunning for people that step out of line. So.
Yeah, like
A lot of social pressure to do it exactly as they do it. And so there's also branches of Mormonism that broke off. So maybe you guys have heard about polygamy in the United States. And polygamy, usually polygamous religions are a branch of Mormonism. Mormons banned polygamy when they became a state, but there were some branches of Mormonism, like the FLDS, that have multiple wives. And it's not like Islam where you have 4 wives. Some of these people have like 80 wives.
And guess what? I saw them in Walmart in Utah. I saw 2 sets of sister wives. The first set, as we were entering Walmart, I saw 2 sister wives, and they were braided. They braided their hairs. Their hairs are long, and they were wearing a dress. A while later, I saw another 2 set of sister wives. Another set of 2 sister wives, and they were with their husband.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at them. Oh.
And they're the more
are.
conservative Mormons because of the way they're dressed. It's like sort of a pastel type of dress pattern that's very antiquated. So it looks like something that they probably wore 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Not as antiquated as Amish, but still antiquated.
Gotta be modest. They're really big on modesty.
Mm-hmm.
We were watching a 90 Day Fiancé, and this Mormon guy did not really want his wife to become a model because of the modesty that Mormonism have to abide by.
Yeah. Okay. So I got a clip of this real fast. So let me show you. This is a video of Joseph Smith when he was 14 years old, and he was in the woods, and he was visited by Jesus and God.
When the light rested upon me, I saw 2 personages.
Okay, so that was, I don't know who made this movie. It was a movie about Joseph Smith. It's probably the Mormon Church that made that film. So here's how the story goes. Joseph Smith was 14 years old. He went into the woods. Jesus and God appeared before him and told him that no Christian faith was correct and that the new faith would come soon. Let's see here. When he was 18 years old, that's when an angel named Moroni appeared before him. And Moroni started telling him about his mission. And I don't know the exact timeline, but essentially they told Joseph Smith about some golden plates that Joseph Smith should translate into English. Mm-hmm. And he didn't have the golden plates yet,
What
though.
language was he talking to him with?
They were speaking in English, I'm assuming. But they say that the golden plates were written in a language called Reformed Egyptian.
Reformed Egyptian. And Joseph Smith understood it right away?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a language, but
Not that we're saying it's a wrong religion. Maybe they have an explanation to that we don't know of.
Well, here's the thing: it's very interesting to learn this stuff. Okay, so a couple years later, that's when Joseph Smith was tried for the treasure hunt scam and then acquitted. Shortly after that, in 1827, Moroni led Joseph to the golden plates.
The angel Moroni?
Yeah, Moroni.
So he led him to find the golden plates.
Yeah.
Which the Book of Mormons is written on, right? In Reformed Egyptian?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
So there's at least 3 books that Joseph Smith did. The first one is the Book of Mormon. And if you're a Mormon scholar or you know the stuff really well, I might get it wrong. We're not historians, but essentially, yeah, the golden plates were the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon tells about how Jesus came to North America after his crucifixion. So it goes something like this. It's 600 BC, so 600 years before Jesus, a prophet named Lehi was told to leave Jerusalem. So Lehi left with his family, and they sailed across the ocean to the Americas. And then Lehi would have some children. Two of his children were Nephi and Laman. And
These are descendants of who? Jesus?
Lehi,
Who's Lehi?
the prophet that left Jerusalem, the Israelite.
Oh, a prophet from the Israelites who left Jerusalem and went to America.
Yeah.
And he has 2 sons.
I think he might have more sons. I didn't read the Book of Mormon, but 2 sons that are important, Nephi and Laman, because Nephi would start the Nephites and Laman would start the Lamanites. And these 2 groups fought together, so they fought wars against each other. So they built civilizations and they fought. At first, I think that they were all good and worshiped God, but it looks like the Nephites became evil, and Mormons believe that Lamanites destroyed the Nephites around 385 AD, so 385 years after Jesus was killed. And then a lot of Mormons, I don't know if they still do this, but the Lamanites are associated with Native Americans. So some Mormons, especially before, believed that Native Americans are Israelites. So I don't know the exact, the whole story
That's
either.
why that man was defending Israel so bad with the genocide. He was like, Israel is a democracy. Israel is good. That's what they tell them, because they think they are the Israelites or they came from the Israelites. That's what they think,
Yeah. So I know also, so after Jesus was crucified, he came to North America. And then he taught the Native Americans and the Lamanites and Nephites and everything. And he prophesied to the world. So that's the Book of Mormon. A few years later, there was a book Joseph Smith did called The Doctrine and Covenants. And in that book, I think it said that Joseph Smith is the single greatest prophet to ever live, except for Jesus Christ. So speaks highly of him. Mm-hmm. So Mormons started out, they were in Missouri, and the first Mormon temple is actually here in Ohio.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they did not start in Utah.
No. So Mormons
They went to refuge in Utah, right?
Yeah, it was a controversial religion even from the beginning. So a lot of people talked about them as in they were heretics.
What's heretics mean?
Sinners. People are
Oh, so
misrepresenting.
they were not accepted by the American society.
No, there was a lot of fighting. There was almost
shunned.
Yeah, for sure. And this is interesting, though. In 1842, Joseph Smith said he found the handwritten notes from Abraham, the prophet, on papyrus, and he translated them. And that became the Book of Abraham. I've got some pictures of that stuff.
So he found a book, treasure book.
Literally like a diary. Like Abraham's diary. So Abraham, the father of everything, the Abrahamic religions.
Yeah, but he found it in America, or?
Yeah, in America. And it was still in good condition.
Found it underground. So this is what he found?
Yeah, so this is one of them. And I guess I'm not sure if this would be considered Reformed Egyptian. Looks like Egyptian hieroglyphics. That's probably the language everything was written in. So that's one. And then here's another one from that book.
Okay.
Yeah, so these are from the Book of Abraham. The golden plates don't exist anymore. Mormons believe that after Joseph Smith translated the Book of Mormon, Moroni took the plates back to heaven. So they don't exist anymore. But Joseph Smith actually tried to run for president.
Yeah?
Yeah, in 1844. He was also arrested that year for treason, and he was killed that year by a mob of people. So he was killed by a mob of riot.
So he was assassinated when he tried to run for president.
Yeah, basically. I mean, some people would say he was a martyr even. But
Shaheed, martyr, in Arabic, Shaheed, we say.
So Mormons, they got chased out of Missouri, and they left and went to find a place where they could be left alone to be Mormons, and they ended up settling in Salt Lake City, Utah. And they became a state. Anyways, at first they were also polygamists, and they had to outlaw polygamy before they could become a state.
They still practice it.
No. Offshoot branches of the Mormon Church practice polygamy, like FLDS, but regular Mormons don't practice polygamy.
Okay, but it's it's still practiced technically.
Yeah.
In their state, but it's not by law practiced.
Let me show this video of Joseph Smith, where Moroni came to visit him.
He told me of an ancient record written upon gold plates, giving an account of the former inhabitants of this continent. The writing on the gold plates was unknown to me. I was told the plates contained a fullness of the gospel of Jesus Christ,
But yeah, so Mormons have some interesting things they believe. So I have a list of stuff here that's unusual that they believe
Let's
that's different.
check them out.
Yeah.
They're kind of like funny sometimes. Let's see.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
interesting for sure.
Interesting.
All right,
That's the
so
word.
first of all, like we talked about earlier, Jesus and Satan are brothers.
Okay, yeah, like we talked about.
God lives near a planet called Kolob.
God lives near a planet called Kolob. Is
Yeah.
that in the solar system?
I assume so.
Okay.
I want to say too, I don't know if all these things are true or not. There's a lot of Mormons that they may not believe these things, but anyways.
We did our own research, and we don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
It's got to be verified by a Mormon.
Jesus has children with his wife or wives, and he's married to a goddess.
Oh.
Here's an interesting one.
Did Jesus have children in Christianity?
No,
Okay.
no. But,
But in Mormonism, he had multiple wives and he had children.
I don't know if mainstream Mormons believe that now, but some people say they do.
Okay. Got you.
This is interesting. They believe the Garden of Eden was in Missouri.
So that's heaven, right?
No, Missouri is a state.
I know. Garden of Eden is in heaven, right?
The Garden of Eden is where the Bible begins with Adam and Eve. So I think they
okay.
believe that civilization began in Missouri.
Okay, got you.
Some people talk about how there was racism in the Mormon church where black people couldn't become priests until 1978. But to be fair, everybody in American history was racist. It wasn't just the Mormons.
1978. Like, it was too recent when people were racist.
Yeah, for sure.
Black
Crazy.
people could not be a priest. Can they be a priest now in the Mormon church?
Yeah, and I think they used to believe, again, this is maybe fringe stuff, but they believe humans are created in heaven through God's having sex, and then the spirit of that child goes into the human body and grows up on earth.
So God has sex in the heaven, so we are born here.
I think not just God, I think multiple gods.
Oh, do they not have one God?
They have one God,
Yeah.
but there's other beings that exist, like God's neighbors, I don't know.
Who he has sex with?
Yeah.
Oh, so God has maybe Hur al-Ain. Maybe God has Hur al-Ain. According to the Hur al-Ain is the multiple wives in heaven.
But so I think some Mormons used to believe that the spirits that were born that were evil, those were black people. And the spirits that were born were white were the good people, so the good spirits.
Oh, okay. So they accused the black people of being the
Evil spirits.
Satan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And again, Mormons probably don't believe this today, but it's anyways. Mormons believe that they are the one true Christian religion. But also, to be fair, every Christian denomination thinks they're the one true denomination of Christianity, and they think they're the one true religion. And I'm pretty sure everyone here has...
Everyone thinks their faith is the one true faith. To be fair.
Yeah, Abdullah, I converted to Islam when I got married.
Abdullah is asking, did you convert to Islam, bro?
Yeah.
He did. Not in the sense that a lot of people think he would. Like, he's not imposing hijab on me or like becoming a extreme Muslim, but he's an okay Muslim. He's like a middle in the middle, like Islam wants us to be. Islam wants us to be a middle people in the middle. That's what we are.
Friendly Muslim.
A friendly Muslim. There you go.
But in the United States, you live with multiple religions. There's nothing wrong with learning about other people's faith and even respecting it too. But let's see here. Mormons baptize dead people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can have your relatives who were sinners. You can have them baptized
When they're dead.
when they're dead, and then
they will be forgotten.
forgiven and go to heaven.
Oh wow, that's cool. So you do whatever you want, and then you die. You get baptized, you go straight to heaven.
Okay, so here's something else about Mormons. So they used to believe in polygamy. And I believe when they believed in polygamy, it was a man would get a placement in heaven based on how many wives and children he had on earth. And so you could become basically a god when you died. And I think it was possible you get your own planet. So you become a god of another planet.
Oh, and you have your own people that you rule?
Something like that.
Wow. Okay, so it's very attractive to the people who wants to be powerful. You have your own planet, your god.
Yeah, I guess so.
I like it. I want to be Mormon now.
One thing I've heard this before from other people. Mormons have magic underwear. So, like something they wear all the time. and they don't take it off except to bathe. I have friends that are Mormons. I've never asked them about this. I called one of my friends who was a Mormon when I was putting this stuff together to verify some things, but he didn't answer. So if you're watching, hope I'm giving a nice representation of your faith.
Yeah, I hope so.
See, we talked about the caffeine. No alcohol. Very strict abstinence.
No caffeine, no alcohol. So in Islam, caffeine is okay.
Yeah.
But in Mormonism, even that is forbidden.
Yeah. And they're very strict in the state when it comes to alcohol laws and things like that. So how restaurants sell it and how strong beers can be at breweries. They also believe in something called eternal marriage. So when you get married here on earth, you're married to that person through eternity. So your wife is your celestial wife.
Okay, that's okay if you're a man, because when she dies, you can still marry another one, and you have them as sister wives in heaven, right? But if you are a Mormon woman, how are you going to do that? Your husband dies, you're not going to get married because you're going to still be married to them eternally?
It's kind of a man's religion, which is another. I see this in Islam a lot too. Very
Misogyny.
Seems like a religion by men and for men. See here. They believe in tithing 10% of their income, but tithing is something where the Bible says to give 10% to.
Tithing. Oh, okay. Yeah, like zakah. We name it zakah in Islam. We have something like that.
Yeah.
It's one of the most important 5 things in Islam. Like they call it the pillars of Islam. One of them is zakah, where you give 2.5% of your income. If that income, you did not spend any money from it and it stayed there for a year. So if you have it for a year, you got to pay the tithing, the zakah.
Yeah.
Same thing, you know?
And then there's something interesting too. So if you ever lived in the United States and you're familiar with Mormons who will go door to door knocking, they're wearing the white shirt, black tie.
Yeah.
So
they came to my house.
It's kind of a rite of passage. So guys in the church will go on a 2-year mission trip and women will go for 18 months. So they'll go to different countries, they'll go to different states, and they'll try to recruit.
So it's required by religion.
Yeah, I don't know how strictly it's required, but it's definitely a rite of passage for Mormons. Mm-hmm. So most Mormons that grew up in a very devout Mormon family will all be missionaries as they're becoming adults.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You gotta be missionary for 2 years to like pass as a Mormon.
Something
basically.
like that.
Okay.
That's how you become a man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, that's about it for Mormons. It's they just have some different ways of looking at things. You can find a lot of stuff online. Honestly, too, they get kind of a bad rap. A lot of other Christian groups make fun of them, call them fringe, and they are kind of fringe. But again, if you're in Utah, they're very powerful. They control a lot, which is just super unique. But that's about it. What do you think?
I think it's a pretty interesting religion. I don't think it's a bad religion, to be honest. I don't think it's the wrong religion. Of course, it's not the one true faith. There's nothing such as the one true faith. But growing up Mormon, if you grow up Mormon, you grow up in a good family, and then you get married as you like become an adult, and you have your own family. This is good stuff, you know. Like we don't see a lot of this in the modern society. We see people going the route of polyamory and some crazy stuff, you know, and we see a lot of young, lonely people.
Yeah.
You know, in the modern society. So it's not necessarily a bad idea to be a Mormon. Just extremism, when it gets extreme, that's when it gets bad. With all religions, by the way, with Islam too.
It's considered one of the top 10 places to raise a family in the United States.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and the United States is a big country, a lot of cities. So my cousins live there. I don't think they like it very much. They miss the West Coast.
I would live in Utah. It's beautiful. It has a beautiful nature. Yeah.
If you ever go fishing with a Mormon, make sure you take 2 of them. Otherwise, he will drink all your beer. Did you go fishing with a Mormon?
Do we have real pics?
Yeah, let's talk about recent projects first and upcoming projects. So we were gone for 2 weeks, so we didn't do a whole lot of projects. We put up a couple older reels that we repurposed. Every hour, Instagram will only let you go live for 1 hour. So every hour, we've got to sign back onto it, and we've got to send ourselves the link because we do this through a restream. One of the many technical things that we're still learning and getting better at, we get a little bit better, and then something else happens, and we go backwards a little bit, move a little bit forward, move a little bit backwards.
We got to fix the wires, these wires, because anytime I knock them off, it ruins everything.
But upcoming projects, we have an idea for a couple new characters. We're just some detectives. So I've ordered the detective stuff. It should arrive tomorrow, so we'll maybe work on our first reel tomorrow. I'll be Detective O''Sama. It's Irish. And Hind will be Detective Al Kowalski.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. Let's see, what else are we working on? That's probably it, really. I've got to make reels for all these episodes, trying to grow the audience.
Hind Deer's weekly real picks, so dope, super duper diggity double dog dope third. Oh, mom, bruh, hob.
Hind Deer.
Hind Deer's weekly real picks, so dope, super duper diggity double dog dope dirt.
So, because we were talking about Mormons this week, so I wanted to show you guys some stuff. If you grew up, especially out west, you're familiar with Mormons, and you kind of get the humor. So you'll see people. These reels are people. You can tell that they were active in the Mormon Church at one time because they make jokes about it. So, for example, if you're a Mormon, just like Islam, your entire life is about that religion. So here's some guys that make this. They're skateboarding. So when you're part of those groups, and I grew up around a lot of religious people too, and it's very similar to that. Everything you do is based on your faith. So if you play music, are you playing music for God? Are you singing religious music? A lot of groups live in just kind of their own societies. They're kind of a little bit isolated from the secular society. So these jokes make a lot more sense if you grew up there. So here's some that was just a couple of people. There were basically being Mormons that were skateboarding, but it makes a lot more sense if you were familiar with Mormons. That is kind of how they sort of live in a bubble. Mm-hmm. So they're making a skateboard video, but they've got to be Mormons about it. I think they're probably being sarcastic. These are probably kids, though, that are affiliated with the Mormon Church just because they know that stuff is funny. Let me show you this social media person. You can tell she grew up around Mormon people by the stuff she does, and she does it as a joke, but this is just the humor.
Potential mate is identified. It's important to collect information. Let's watch an example.
So what's your ideal first date?
Well, after I pop a few ciggies, I'll drive my car as fast as possible to the highest point on the mountain, and then we smash faces and lips just like in the movies.
So what's your ideal first date?
Pull up to your door and knock on it very hard and give your dad a very nice handshake and ask him for his permission to take his daughter out on a lunch date. And then the next day, I would like to meet your whole family, and I would like for you to meet mine to get the seal of approval.
Time for a pop quiz. Which suitor would you choose? If you said number 1, then you might be a whore. Follow for dating and self-improvement tips. And send this to a friend who might need this help.
All right. So anyways, I also grew up around very religious people. And this stuff, it's a lot funnier.
But not Mormons, though.
I grew up in the Northwest, so I was a little north of where Mormons were. But there's still a thing out there. They're more common out there than they are here. But let me show you one other thing. So I also saw this thing. I've been seeing a lot of videos lately of people making fun of Indian street food. And Hind was thinking about making one, but at the same time, we didn't want to be racist.
We were worried that we will come across as racist. But in Russia, you can be racist. It's fine for you. That's the Russian guy, right?
This one is, I think she's in Mexico, or she's Spanish.
Yo haciendo jugo en la India.
Jugo, juice.
It's like mud water.
I'm making juice in India.
But you know what? So I also I saw this other one, and it wasn't really making fun of Indian street food. It was just making fun of street food. And I think this would be a better option for someone like us to make, where we're just kind of making fun of street food versus making fun of Indian street food. because we don't want to hurt people's feelings. And we know that people are crazy. So these guys are making sticky tacos.
I think they're making fun of Indians.
They're making fun of street food, that's for sure.
That's playing with.
Paper cutter. Searing it. So there you go, guys. The sticky tacos.
Yeah, they're definitely making fun of Indian street food because they have Indian sounds in the background.
I mean, you know, street food sounds.
Rico is asking Brandon, do you pray 5 times a day?
Sometimes.
We pray Al-Isha.
Yeah.
The evening prayer every night, but we gotta get back to it, babe.
So
since we got on vacation, we need to catch up on it.
Rico says, so in Muslim faith...
we're building these habits slowly.
So Rico asks, so in Muslim faith, you can't drink alcohol or have caffeine? No, it's alcohol is very taboo in Islam. Caffeine is fine.
Yeah. You can't have alcohol, but you can have caffeine. People love tea in Iraq.
Yeah, it's a thing. Guys drinking tea.
Yeah, my dad loved tea. He drank tea all the time.
Like men have tea sets.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of a manly thing in your culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Super rare.
You go to the cafe to drink tea with the other men and hang out with them. And sometimes play dominoes with them. The only true great real faith religion are 2. Is the Christianity and the Islam. I'm reading a comment from YouTube. Other so-called religions are people made, created. It didn't not come from the only one true God.
So I think that for me, like I grew up around Abrahamic religions, Christian religions. So did you.
Yeah.
So that's what we're used to for sure. And most of the people we encounter are part of that branch. But what I've noticed about people is if you take everything away and you just kind of boil it down to people's sentiments, their emotions, how they carry out their faith, it's all kind of the same. Like
I don't think God did not send a prophet to the Asian nations, for example, to Japanese nations or Chinese nations. I mean, I think God sent a prophet to everyone. Well, which is written in the Quran. I'll say it in Arabic and then I'll translate. وَمَا مِنْ أُمَّةٍ إِلَّا خَلَا فِيهَا نَذِيرٌ. So every nation has a prophet. Every nation got a person who told them about these things. So yeah, we identify more with the faith of the Abrahamic faith, we like relate more to it because we grew up with it. And another thing too, babe, Islam is recent.
Yeah.
And it's in Arabic, and Arabic language is still alive. So you can actually still understand the scripture in its original language, which makes it easier for you. You know that there's not a lot of lying has been done to it because it's the same scripture from 1400 years ago. You don't know how much lying happened in other faiths where the scripture is in a different language, you know?
Yeah. One thing, though, that you would find different. So, when you first came here and you talk to people and you tell them you're Muslim, you may find a lot of people asking you about if you have a church or a mosque you go to. This is because they're Christians and they see it much differently. So in the United States, because of the first and second Great Awakening, you have a lot of different branches of Christianity. So if someone says they're Christian, it can mean so many things. So Catholic is Christian, Orthodox is Christian. In the West, pretty much you have two branches. You have Catholicism and Protestantism. So everything that's not Catholic is Protestant. Technically, everything that's not Catholic and Orthodox is Protestant, but Orthodoxy is not very common in the West, and back then it wasn't very common at all. So most people just associate Christianity with either Protestant or Catholic. And so because of that, you'll have a lot of denominations that will have their own churches and their own like ways they're set up. Like I grew up going to Seventh-day Adventist schools, and they have their own kind of subculture, own schools and ways of doing things. And
yeah, we don't have that. It's more unified, It's more you just go to a mosque.
Yeah.
There is Shia mosque and Sunni mosque. You got to be appropriate when you go to either. If you're a Sunni going to a Shia mosque, you got to make sure you pray the way they pray. Don't cause problems. And vice versa, when you're Shia going to a Sunni mosque, you make sure it's humans made that rule, but it's like with Sunni you put your hands here, and with Shia you put them down.
Why did there become such animosity between Sunnis and Shia to begin with? It seems
because everyone wants to be right.
Hmm.
Everyone wants to say I'm right, they're wrong.
Yeah.
That's all.
I don't know. I think you will learn a lot from people when you are talking to someone, instead of trying to tell them how they're wrong, hear what they have to say. Doesn't mean it even changes your mind, but it might give you a perspective, or you learn something. You make a friend. With most people, Sunnis and Shia, you guys probably have 99% of things in common.
Yeah, of course.
And that one
we believe in the same book, the Quran.
Yeah.
But you know what? What's interesting, Islam is you gotta believe in the Quran, right? These religious leaders led people to believe that other books other than the Quran are as important as the Quran, which makes the conflict, by the way.
Okay. With Shia?
Shias have their own books and Sunnis have their own books.
Okay.
And I get it. You can read these books to learn about the Prophet and his friends and the people around him and the conflicts that happened at the time. But you cannot rely on these as a scripture or as a word of God. And these religious leaders are relying on these books as the word of God. And these different books between Sunnis and Shias, these books are contradicting. That's why they can't agree.
And you don't have to agree. If you're Sunni, do you believe that God doesn't exist in the Shiite faith? Or vice versa, if you're Shia, do you believe that God doesn't exist in the Sunni faith? Or do you assume there's some God?
If you're a crazy person, you can lead people to think that the other faith is wrong and they don't believe in the same God we believe in,
Not just wrong, but objectively wrong and worthy of death.
Yeah, which is crazy. And simple people, believe everything.
That's one thing I really like about the West is our tolerance of people. We're used to it. We're so used to being around people that speak different languages and look different and have different cultures. I would probably be bored living somewhere where everyone is homogenous.
Yeah.
I'm so used to learning. What other comments do we have?
Someone, Abu Al-Mim says, ask your husband in English. If we ask, if they ask you for advice, my baby, what would you tell them?
Who asked for advice about what?
The audience asks you for advice in life in general. I think that's what they mean.
Well, life in general, I would say.
Your grandma gave me this advice. She said, be kind. That's her secret to being old.
Yeah, I think being kind and also caring about yourself and caring about the people around you. Being kind is important. And also,
don't be nice, be kind.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
If you're too nice with people, they think they can step on you.
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
We gotta be kind, not nice. عزيزتي القرآن الحكيم الكريم كل آية لها تفسير وهذه الآية الحكيمة تفسيرها نذير نبي هو يكون مرسل من الله حقا وليس نبي كذاب وينسب نبوة قصة اخترعها هو ليضل يخدع بها الناس ويضلهم عن الحق. أكو رسول، أكو آية تقول وما من أمة إلا خلا فيها رسول. أعتقد هيك أكو آية تقول رسول. ثواني بس نشوف إذا أكو آية هيك. Basically what she's saying is that people were sent not a prophet, like someone who tells them the truth, but not a prophet. The only prophet is Muhammad. Let me look it up in Arabic. وما من أمة حتى لا أكون أقول هيك آية غلط. نذير صح، نذير مو رسول، نذير. إنا أرسلناك بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا وما من أمة إلا خلا فيها نذير. فالرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام أيضا كان نذير، والأمم الثانية أيضا جاها نذير. Rico is asking, can you smoke?
Like cigarettes or marijuana? We don't smoke either, really. But
in
people
Islam, I think they're asking.
Do they smoke tobacco?
I don't think tobacco is haram in Islam, but
it would be haram in Mormonism.
Yeah?
Yeah, tobacco, nicotine.
There is a rule in Islam that anything harming is haram. Anything that harms you in the long run or short run is haram. So I think like overdoing it is haram. And
haram means
overeating,
evil. Haram means bad in case like
bad,
Rico maybe.
A sin. Overeating, for example, and not taking care of your body is also haram if we look at this rule, Anything that will harm you is haram.
Yeah.
You do it at your own risk.
Your culture is very clean. Like personal hygiene is very important in your culture.
Yeah.
More than I would say with Americans.
Yeah, that's true. Abu Al-Mim says hi to you. I think we did.
How did we do
but
that?
It's still streaming, so we're fine.
Okay.
Abu Al-Mim is asking, tells you hi, and he thinks that it's a nice addition to my channel that you are in it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we changed the whole content. I'm not Hind Deer, the old Hind Deer anymore. We're trying comedy right now. We're trying comedy skits, stand-up comedy, and the podcast. That's the route we're going, and we're going in English, all in.
We're gonna try to do more things though. When we do a lot of stuff in English, we're gonna try to have Arabic subtitles so that people can enjoy the reels if they don't speak English. And but yeah, we're gonna try to develop some more characters, and we worked on a new stand-up skit last night, and it was a little rusty, so we're gonna try it again, and then we'll show it to you guys the next one. But we're trying to build a full comedy set, and the idea is to make a comedy movie or comedy film.
We are trying to make a stand-up comedy film. We're going to have it on sale on YouTube. So we're trying, we're trying. I think my Arabic audience kind of canceled me, and I understand the reasons. I'm not as modest as they want me to be, and I'm talking more openly about my political opinion of the things happening in Palestine, and that upsets a lot of them and makes them scared due to the oppression that they're facing.
In the West, we love to talk about politics.
We decided to do it in English. Hopefully we find some English audience that will understand our messaging, and we are good people, we are good people, happy people, and we want people to be happy just like us.
Yeah, we don't criticize. We'll make jokes. Like I have the character as like a cult character, but we're not making fun of religion. We're just making fun of people that exploit religion.
Yeah, that use religion for their own interests, for their own gain, to exploit other people, which is not nice to do to a religion. Alhan al-Sama, in Arabic, she's writing things in Arabic, talking about how she thinks علماء مسلمين فاهمين هم شنو معنى كل آية. نعم الرسول محمد هو نذير حقيقي كان مرسل موحى من الله نبي لأمة تتكلم عربي. نذير والله أنا مو مفسرة بصراحة وما أعرف التفسيرات، ولكن أنا أعتقد أنه كل أمة إجالها نذير. إذا واحد يريد يتبع فالدين معين يناسبه ويناسب لغته ويناسب ثقافته، مو شرط أنه يجي يتعلم عربي ويتعلم الإسلام. إذا هو عايش مرتاح ومتزوج وعايش ومعفى ومدفى هيك أنه متزوجين، هو هذا الهدف من الدين، أنه الواحد يتزوج ويخلف بدل ما يروح يسوي علاقات متعددة وبالنهاية يوصل للاكتئاب وما عنده جهال. مو هو هذا الهدف من الدين، الهدف الأساسي. I don't know about interpretation of the Quran, but there are religious leaders who interpret the Quran, and Muhammad is a prophet. I don't know how to say it in English. A Nadir. I don't know how to say that word in English.
Okay.
Person who tells us right from wrong for people who speak Arabic. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. If you speak Arabic, then that's perfect. But if you don't speak Arabic and your prophet tells you about a religion and you follow that religion and you're happy, you're married, you have kids, and you're not polyamorous, what's wrong with that? Follow your own religion that represents your own culture. You don't have to be necessarily Muslim if you can't understand the Quran in Arabic. That's what I said.
Yeah, living a life that gives you purpose and not imposing. If you guys, it's like in Iran, a lot of people in Iran are atheists because it's a theocracy and religion is imposed on them. And so because of that, a lot of Iranians hate religion. So I think you'll find that, when you give people free will to decide what's best for them, they will decide what's best for them, and it's important. And also, learn from other people. Again, every single person who's devoutly religious believes their religion is the one true faith. So what does that tell you? It tells you that it's a human trait, that human beings do this across the board. Doesn't matter where they're from, what continent they're from. A devout human being will believe that their religion is the one true faith. So, take that with a grain of salt. If you believe your religion is the one true faith, that's good. You found your calling.
You found God.
Yeah.
And you want other people to find God. That's why you feel so strongly about it. ما رأيكم بهذه المقولة؟ اعتنق الإنسانية أولا ثم اعتنق ما شئت من الأديان. So, what do you think of this saying? Commit to humanity first, and then commit to what you want.
I think that's good. Basically, building yourself morally and
ethically.
ethically.
I think we're all brothers and sisters in humanity first.
Rico says, Hind, what was the biggest culture shock for you when you moved to America? What was the biggest culture shock?
That I couldn't wash my private areas with running water in the public bathrooms.
So bidets are very common in the Middle East?
Oh,
in
yeah.
the public bathrooms?
Everywhere.
Okay.
Everywhere. You go into a public bathroom, there is a spray. You clean yourself up with it.
There you go. Toilet paper was her biggest culture shock.
Actually, we have toilet paper, but we dry ourselves with it after we clean,
Yeah.
And I learned I taught Brandon about this when we first met, and now he's addicted to it. He can't live without it.
It is clean.
It's clean, yeah. It makes you feel good, It's disgusting when you just wipe it.
What was another? Okay, this is kind of gross direction the conversation is going. What's another culture shock you had that's less disgusting?
Don't know. Gotta think about it. I don't know, babe. I can't remember anything now.
Okay.
Do you know any culture shocks I told you about?
I can't think of anything right now either. I don't know.
A lot of people come here not speaking English, so that's their first cultural shock, that they it's a different language. They need help. They can't speak the language. They can't find a decent job like they had in their countries. They gotta work as a worker, and it's really a different life for them, different style. So
Middle Eastern culture and Western culture are very different, and so it can take some adjustments to feel comfortable around the different culture, but so many things. The way it's very conservative. So this is where Islam is similar to Mormonism, where you find a lot of it's very taboo to have premarital sex. In fact, in your culture, kids usually live with their parents until they get married, especially women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even men. My cousins live with their parents.
Yeah, Arabic is a beautiful language.
Yeah.
Still trying to learn it.
I agree.
About Shia and Muslims and Sunni Muslims, there was no animosity never between the two major Islam religion, especially. Does that cut off at especially?
She's still writing, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. She's basically saying there was no animosity between Shia and Sunni, and it's relatively new, which is correct.
No question. The sectarianism, the sectarian mentality, this is driven by a manipulative people that are in power that want to control people, so they manipulate them. Every group, if U.S. politics is the same thing. You come out with a bad guy. You have a bad guy, and it consolidates your power. So with the sectarian violence, if you're Shia, you know what you do. You got to convince the people that Sunnis are the bad guy, and vice versa. And they do this to make you dependent on their ideology, to control you, to control your thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's another human trait.
Also, after the war in Iraq, after America invaded Iraq in 2003, sectarian violence became really bad.
And there was a lot of animosity built up, too, during Saddam Hussein. I mean, they were pretty brutal to Shias, right?
Yeah, Saddam was not good with the Shias. He was not good with the Kurds. He was not good with Sunnis, to be honest. Like, everyone was suffering from poverty and, like, not too many resources during Saddam's rule.
Trying to hide from Uday.
Who?
Everyone.
Yeah. If you're a cute girl, definitely you gotta be careful not to be abducted by him and
Saddam Hussein's son.
Raped by him.
His psychopath son.
Yeah.
But is there less sectarian violence now in Iraq?
I'm not sure. I mean, I still get comments from people in Iraq, from both sides, insulting the other side.
Yeah.
You know?
I think, though, sometimes, I mean, you always have angry people in every group, and these people are usually the loudest, so it may not even be how most feel, but you have some people that want to dominate everyone's thoughts and actions.
But you know what, babe? Because my family is interfaith, we are open and we are friendly with both Sunnis and Shias.
Mm-hmm.
But we see a lot of families that are not interfaith families.
Mm-hmm.
They talk shit about the other faith.
Yeah, so it's always...
They're like superior to other faith.
It's always easier to hate somebody when you don't have any connection to them.
Yeah.
So if
But I see it because I come from a family that is both, but some in my family are only one. Yeah. And when you hear them talk to you, they're assuming that you are like them. They're so racist. You know, they talk like the racist people, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's too bad. Let's see here. Any more comments? Let's see. We've gone on for a couple hours.
Especially in our country, Iraq, this animosity, the Americans brought the animosity, fitna, babil fitna, balbala fitna, trouble between all the different religions, faith in my country. What do you say to these people? You guys brought the animosity to us.
Yeah. America has done some horrible things in the Middle East. Dividing people and putting people in power that will abuse the population, but they do that and they're kept in power by the West and by bigger powers. I think most Americans are not happy with that. Most Americans don't want the U.S. Bullying other governments and other people and forcing governments to act a certain way and dividing people, playing international chess. It's not a good, I don't know, it doesn't, I don't see any good that comes from it. I don't see any good that comes from trying to arm groups and run civil wars around the world. And
all right. Let me read. Brandon is reading a comment on Instagram. Let me read while he reads that. Let me read something on YouTube. Abul Mim says, a question for both of you. What do you think is the best thing in your husband? And what does he think is the best thing in you? A spiritual thing. And he wants me to answer first and then you.
Oh, okay.
So he's setting the rules of his question.
Okay. So a spiritual thing.
What's a spiritual thing that Brandon is good at, or I like in Brandon? I don't know. It's he's a caring person. We are happy with each other. We love each other. And by the way, that creates problems. We didn't know that before we got married. You know, like you spend your whole life trying to find happiness and reading and learning about how to be happy, how to find the happy, your significant other and be happy with them. And then when you finally find it, you deal with a new set of problems, which we are dealing now with. People who are trying to like ruin that happiness for us, or people who feel angry that we're happy. But I don't know. We're just like, it's just natural. It's just, we're happy. We found each other. I found him and he found me, and we're content. We're so happy.
Yeah. And I would say about Hind, something I really love about her spiritually is that she's able to absorb so much information and learn and grow, and she never gets to the point where she's done learning. And it's hard to describe that unless you spend time with her or you spend time with other people, where some people just they don't want to know more, they don't want to learn more, they don't want to grow more. And Hind is not like she tries to grow more, it's that she's 100% this way.
You know what? In Islam, we have something said, we say is talabul ilmi farida. So it's a mandatory thing to seek knowledge in Islam. I was just raised that way. I was told a lot. I was told this a lot in school. You know?
Do you think...
Maybe it's ingrained in me. It's in my subconscious.
Yeah, maybe so. Do you think President Trump is the devil, Rico asks. I don't think President Trump is the devil. Do you?
I don't think so.
What about Rico? What do you think? Do you think President Trump is the devil? I'm curious. You know, I hope Trump does a good job. You know, it's...
I hope that too, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are certain things that we don't understand, but because we are the general public. Who knows what he goes through? Who knows how he gets gaslighted or blackmailed, or like presidents go through that stuff, you know?
Yeah. Rico says, I worked with a lot of Muslims and they say gay culture is very shocking to them. Yeah. The Middle East is not a very gay friendly culture. So
yeah,
it's something you'll find if you are dealing with a lot of people from the Middle East. They have a hard time looking at it the same way we look at it here in America. In fact, we did an episode about it. Our last episode was about the differences between gay people in the Middle East and the United States. And in that, I talked about the history of how people became more tolerant in the U.S. of gay culture or gay people. And
we are still not there yet. Yeah, that's a cultural shock, I would say. I mean, I'm not that I'm against gay people. I'm totally fine being friends with them. Totally fine respecting them that way. But when it comes to my own family, I don't want these values to be taught to my kids.
This is a different way of looking at it. So, see here. I mean, the politicians, not all Americans agree with it or voted for them. I mean, the war criminals in Washington. Yeah, so in America, there are some people that are very powerful. Some people have a lot of money, and it's just regular people like us. We don't have any control over that kind of stuff. The most we can do is we can talk to people and we can influence people and we can expose things because we have somewhat of a platform, but we're so limited on what we can do. These people, weapons manufacturers, CEOs of these corporations that profit from the destruction in Iraq and in Syria now, and war profiteers. It's a huge business. I mean, you got to think about it. Why is it that the United States was in Afghanistan for 20 years and Iraq for 20 years, and it never seemed to end? There was no strategy to end it. It was just a strategy to keep it ongoing. Mm-hmm. You know, why does the U.S. arm rebel groups or why does the United States attack rebel groups in some countries like Boko Haram, but they really don't try to stop it entirely? Maybe they do, but I don't think they do it. The reason is because it's so much money in keeping a conflict ongoing. Why did the United States arm Ukraine but never gave Ukraine the capacity to fully win the war? Because they made so much money from the weapons, because everybody was getting rich. And that's the problem with the way politics are now. Is everyone's about money. People at the top, I think, are very bad people in general, not all of them, but for the most part. I think that you don't become a powerful person unless you have a little bit of a amoral mentality, because it's hard to push your way to the top if you have empathy for other people.
Yeah, I kind of disagree sometimes with that. I mean, if you are a good person and you see that all the evils are up top, you might, like, if you have capacities to push yourself up top, you might want to try that. Like Mustafa al-Barghouthi, I like him. He wants to be a Palestinian president, but he's a really good person. His agenda is literally for the good of Palestine and for all the people, like, even for the Israeli people.
I don't know who this person is, but even this, I would say, like, what you know about this person is being marketed by somebody. It's news sites.
No, he talks about himself. He talks for himself.
All right.
He appears on the media. I think there can be good people pushing themselves to the top when they see a lot of evil being done to them and they're done with it.
Yeah, I know, but
why.
usually, like, at some point, usually a strong man wins. You know, like Putin is a strong man. Saddam Hussein was a strong man. Technically, Trump is a strong man. Doesn't mean he's a devil. Doesn't mean he's bad, but he's a strong guy. He fought his way to the top, persevered through all sorts of obstacles. We hope Trump do a good job. We don't hate you.
I don't hate him. To be honest, I mean. We haven't seen yet, like we haven't seen enough to judge him.
And even now, so Trump came out and was saying that we should turn Gaza into an ethnically cleansed resort. And people were shocked that he said that. But now, if you look in the news, Trump is saying, well, we're not going to enforce that. And I think, okay, was he saying that to appease Netanyahu, to make it look like they're doing something for Israel so that they can get Israel to come along and continue
or to get a deal?
Yeah.
He's the man of the deal,
So I don't know. I mean, I think I 100% believe that Trump is a savant. Some people think he's an idiot. I don't. I think he's a genius. I don't know if he's very moral necessarily, but I think he has some moral traits. But I do think he's a genius, and I think that we shouldn't be quick to judge because he's not a professional politician. And if he may do things that are unconventional and he gets results, that's good. It's so early in his administration. We don't know where it's going to go, but we hope the best. What's this person saying about Trump? He's just contradicts himself a lot. Yeah, so that's what we were kind of talking about with the contradictions. We don't know whether he's contradicting himself, trying to persuade Putin something or persuade Netanyahu something. I thought it was a horrible idea that the United States takes over Gaza. But we also thought maybe that was a strategy. And it turns out it probably is a strategy. With Russia.
A lot of people analyzed it and said, because he wrote the book, The Deal, The Art of the Deal, that's the deal he was trying to make. That he was trying to push the Arab nations to accept some sort of no Palestinian state, to give up on the Palestinian state, condition for normalization. He was trying to push to the edge.
He says that Trump is better than Biden. We don't like Biden.
We hate him.
I think
we regret making him win. He was for himself, not for America.
Yeah, we're not fans of Biden. I'll tell you this. I don't think that like left or right is good or bad. I think that there's a lot of qualities you get with people who are right-minded, and there's a lot of qualities you get with people that are left-minded. And when it comes to politicians, there's good in both. I think that left-wing politicians usually work more towards social programs that society needs to function. And usually the right-wing politics, they work more towards social stability. And I think both are important. I mean, I think, like, for example, Social Security, that's so necessary. Mm-hmm. When you're in your older age, like that's and that's a left-wing program, but right-wing people support it, and and some people worry it's under threat. What other comments do we got?
ترامب رجل أعمال وسياسته قائمة على المصالح أولا لذلك قراراته واضحة بهذا الموضوع أعتقد راح يكون ممتاز لأمريكا So he thinks Trump is a businessman and his policy is based on interest first. So his decisions are clear with this, and he thinks he's going to be good for America only.
So I don't think you could be good for America only and still be good for America, because we all live on this planet together. We all interact, and it's a very narrow definition of good for America if it's bad for the rest of the world. You know, what benefits Japan should benefit the rest of Asia.
Mm-hmm.
What benefits the United States should benefit the rest of North America, should benefit Europe, should benefit the Middle East. So he might do things that are sort of American. I know what you're saying, and I hope not. I don't know. The tariff things, it's hard to say. I don't think like Trump, but I understand, you know, he's unconventional, and hopefully he does it. We agree Trump is sometimes, he does things right. Yeah, sometimes. We hope.
It's really early to judge.
Yeah.
For the immigration, I think there is an immigration problem. There is a problem, but the problem is not defined yet. They don't know the problem. No one knows the problem. No one knows what the actual problem is, you know? But there is a problem. So every government comes and tries to solve it their own way. But I don't think there's a definite answer to the immigration problem. Everyone wants to come to America. That's the problem. Everyone wants to be an American. So maybe the problem is for America to try to make the world a better place, so people don't want to come here, you know?
I mean, that's
the solution.
That's a big part of America's foreign intervention. So that's what the United States does, is it tries to...
Sometimes it does things for America, not for the country that they're intervening in.
Yeah, it's the next one. I said to one of my cousins, she said Trump is the best. I told her there is better than him, but he is better than the thugs in the previous administration.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll tell you this about Trump. Trump is entertaining. he's definitely entertaining.
Yeah.
He says some funny things.
Mm-hmm. I'm a very devout Christian, by the way.
I'm a very devout Christian.
By the way. We love listening to him and, you know, like seeing...
It's funny because
entertaining stuff.
When he talks about the Bible, he would say something like Corinthians 2 or something. It's people don't talk that way. They say 2 Corinthians or 1 Corinthians, not Corinthian II or whatever the book was. So you can just tell he's somebody that doesn't have a whole lot of grasp with the Bible. And not that he should. It's just that when you're a politician in the United States, especially a president, you have to be Christian. You have to tell Americans how much of a Christian you are. It's just part of becoming president. I think if it was France, probably you would be looked at like you're cuckoo if you're trying to convince everyone that you were super devout and religious. But in America is a very religious country. It's a secular country, and it's secular with a lot of different religions, but in general, I would think out of all the Western countries, America is by far the most religious.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with Trump and Elon Dodge program? Or is it going undercover in our government? I don't know. Do I agree with Elon on the Doge program? I don't know. Again, like if it leads to good results, but at the same time...
What is the Dodge program? Sometimes I'm kind of...
Elon is like cutting all the stuff out of the government. And there's people that talk about things how there's theories about why he's doing this. And one of those theories is that to take over the United States. And if that's what he's doing, I don't think it's good. I think that it's hurting Americans in the short term. It's kind of unnecessary. If they take, firing all these people and taking away benefits that people depend on, I don't think that's good. I think that there could be a responsible way to do it. But what they're trying to do now is they're trying to rush things through. I think that in general, I look at it, someone like Elon Musk, and I think that this person has a track record of having good intentions in as far as before Tesla, people would talk about clean energy. And the biggest argument against electric cars is that, well, nobody makes them. It's too expensive. And then Elon came along and started making electric cars and totally revolutionized that. And, I think that in general, if you're trying to have a clean planet, I think that's a pretty noble thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
You know what, babe? I read on social media that Elon found around like millions, I don't know, 40 or 70 million, something like that. Some million people who are over the age of 125 who are taking disability benefits.
Yeah, so I see like on both sides. So I see some people saying that Elon, reporting that stuff, and people are talking like what you're saying, that he's uncovering corruption and things. At the same time, I hear things like Elon's under investigation by certain government agencies, and now Elon is stripping those agencies of the power to investigate him. So do you think it's possible that it could be both? That he's doing some things that are maybe good, but at the same time he's doing things that benefit himself?
Yeah, probably. And sometimes people pay money to ruin other people. It could be that too. Could be some corrupt people are paying money to ruin him.
I wonder how Trump feels about this stuff, because it's got to be somewhat embarrassing that Elon Musk is there on every interview. Did you see the video where Elon's son was talking to Trump and told Trump to shut up and said, "You're not the real president," on national television?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So I don't know. Like, I know Trump has... Here's one thing I'll say about Trump. He's got a big ego. And it's got to be kind of embarrassing that Elon Musk is there attached at his hip. And people are saying, too, that Elon Musk right now is basically running the government, that Trump is working as basically functioning as a head of state. So, going to the ribbon cuttings, but the person making all these decisions is Elon Musk. I don't know what's true, but I think there's truth in that. And I think for Trump, he's going to have to, at some point, he may decide that he wants to distance himself from Elon, and that's going to be a messy situation. That's one thing I worry about, and it's going to distract from actually running the American government. I don't see Trump acting this way with Elon for the next 4 years. What do you think?
I think Trump will not, like, especially after the son did that and said, "You're not the real president." I think Trump will have a talk with Elon and, let's talk about not having you in public. You still have the powers or whatever, like, that we agreed on, but let's not have you in public. Maybe that will happen.
Yeah, and also, Elon Musk is not an elected representative. He was hired by an elected representative, I understand that. But American people have a right as a society to function as a society, which includes safety nets. That includes Medicaid and Medicare. That includes Social Security. We've decided this as a people.
Mm-hmm.
And Elon Musk is wrong if he wants to come in and take those things away from us so that people who are disadvantaged have to suffer. I don't know if he's doing that, but if he's doing that, that's unethical, probably illegal down the road. I don't know. I mean, you have the Supreme Court now that are saying, conservatives on the Supreme Court, telling Trump that he doesn't have the power to do some of the things he's doing. So you're getting pushback now within the Republican base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With the birthright citizenship, they stopped it. They stopped Trump's executive order. Anyway, I'm not the best qualified person to talk about these things. I don't know. I don't have a lot of information about it.
Yeah, maybe. Rico says SSI won't be around if things keep the way they are, with all the money being stolen from what we have learned. Yeah, I mean, that's always been an issue too, funding Social Security. But it's true too that there are people in power that maybe make $200,000 a year, but are worth millions now, who are politicians.
Mm-hmm.
And when he says, like, I wonder where the money came from, okay, fine. I would be curious to know where. How does somebody become a multimillionaire when they make $100,000 a year? Well, I mean, the money came from somewhere. Whether groups or people are draining money from Social Security for their own interests, is probably, if that's the case, it should be stopped. You can't function without safety nets. You can't be a modern society without safety nets. Without safety nets, you're a third world country. Mm-hmm. That's just a fact. You can't have a modern country with old people bathing and shitting in the street, like washing themselves in the river. Like skeletons walking around, and like every person, they get old and this is their fate. Why would anybody even want to participate in our society if that's the case, where we're just neglected as soon as we're not useful?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Social Security is very important, and every functioning country has some sort of pension program. It's not just something unique to America. In every country, the people are dependent on that.
Paul Pariah, German, says, "Make America great again." And he feels so strongly about it that he said it 4 times to get our attention. Make America great again. We agree with that. I mean, we don't necessarily agree with specifics. I don't know about the specifics. I'm not really qualified to talk about them. But everyone wants to make America great again, whether it's on the left or on the right. It's not only a right thing.
Yeah, no, I think that we all agree on we want to have the best country possible. We want the best place for our families and our friends and our future.
Abul Mim says, find a solution for this person. I mean,
I don't know. Sorry.
People are just like strong in their feelings. I have no control over his feelings,
Yeah. What do these things say? Family is right, independent conservatives.
So what do you think about Trump?
So this person is saying...
When are you going to come to Iraq? I'm very happy for you, Hind, and you deserve the whole world.
So this person was saying that the best president Americans ever had was John Kennedy. The thing with JFK is that he was assassinated before he had a chance to really leave much of a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to really say. I mean, he did do some things. He was, maybe if he wasn't assassinated, the United States would have avoided the war in Vietnam. And the war in Vietnam really ruined our society. It left generational trauma that people are still recovering from, to be honest.
You know what, babe? A lot of theories say that Israel is responsible for John F. Kennedy's death.
Yeah, some people believe that.
Yeah, it could be true, according to me. I don't know about the details, but Israel wants to be the dominant power in the world, the dominant people, and they've proven that in the last war, in the genocide war.
I think that Americans should really worry about being independent from Israeli influence. It seems like they have a lot of sway over our government, and it should be the opposite way, I hope. As far as Trump goes, I think that Trump uniquely has the opportunity to reverse the power dynamic between the United States and Israel. And if Trump does that and puts the power dynamic back in the U.S.'s hands, I think that would be a great thing. And I would say Trump did a really good job as president with creating a position that leads to peace around the world.
Okay, I'm going to read this question. هند زوجك ماكل باقي اللي بالدهن؟ لا.
Father Colonel Rand Paul. Ron Paul is Rand Paul's father. Rand Paul. Ron Paul. Ron is the father. Rand is his son.
What? The father of Congressman Rand Paul. His name is Brian Paul. I forgot.
Yeah, it's Ron Paul.
Okay.
What was the next question?
He's asking if you've ever eaten fava beans.
Yeah.
With oil, and we put it on a bread, and we put
like the hummus type thing?
No, I've never made it for you, so I said no. We don't need a lot of fava beans. We have a G6PD in my family, and even though I'm not symptomatic, but I try to avoid it. It's just better to avoid runs in the family condition, medical condition that's not famous here. It's very common in Iraq.
I did eat the sheep's head.
Bacha.
Bacha. Multiple times.
Not only you, your whole family.
Yeah. My whole family.
I made it for them. All right, friends. I think it's time to wrap up.
Yeah.
The Instagram live just paused, just ended on us, and it's been a little bit more than 2 hours.
Okay.
He's like, it was funny the way I was trying to explain the dish in English.
Yeah. I think Ron Paul has some good things to say. I mean, he's definitely very honest about U.S.'s foreign policies.
What's a chomo?
Chomo, child molester. Okay.
That person might be a Mormon.
I don't know.
Maybe not.
He's just saying things to try to offend people.
Yeah.
How will you feel when Trump ends federal income taxes? I don't have an opinion. I mean, I don't know what's happening. The United States has to fund programs somehow, so the money has to come from somewhere, or we make the money from nothing. But either way, a society has to be able to function. So I don't know. If they end federal income taxes, then they're probably going to replace it with a federal sales tax. And at the end of the day, I don't know if that works.
That would be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, no income tax. Wow. Like if you make a certain amount of money, you make it all. You don't give the government anything. But you would have to still pay property taxes and sales taxes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a business owner, so it's really easy to, when you own a business, it's really the people that pay taxes are the W-2 workers. Really.
Yeah,
like
yeah, basically.
Everyday workers. They're the ones that pay taxes. They're the ones that, have to file, maybe get some tax returns each year, but a lot of times they don't.
Which at this point, the taxes became pointless because only the poor people pay for taxes,
I mean, some people that make a lot of money do pay taxes, but there's a lot of people that make a lot of money that don't pay any taxes.
Like real estate people don't pay any taxes. Like you buy property after property and it's tax. You can exempt it. It's you borrow money to pay for that property, so it's all tax exempt.
Yeah, and I mean,
and then you pay your children a W-2 before the threshold of paying taxes, being taxable, so you don't pay taxes for that. There's a lot of ways people find out to not pay taxes, and the only people who pay taxes are the workers. So yeah, it might be a good idea to end that.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, I think we probably both want America to be a good place to live. We probably want the same end results.
By the way, he ate dolma. He's asking me to make dolma for you.
Dolma, yeah. We just made dolma the other day.
Yeah.
In Utah.
What's your best stuffed thing in dolma?
I don't have a favorite stuffed thing. They're so good, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like we do cabbage rolls a lot with dolma recipes. It's just cabbage is easy, quick. So sometimes we'll have the filling ready to go in the fridge and just have some softly boiled cabbage leaves and roll those up. And they're quick and easy. Grape leaves are great, but grape leaves you have to cook them for like 3 hours, so it just takes longer.
Yeah, and the last time they got dry, and I forgot to add water when they were cooking, and they were like dry. But anyway, we'll try to make a better one next time. It's time to wrap up, babe. Oh, yeah. We got some more comments.
Okay.
Let's read this one last question, and we will wrap up.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah,
I don't read
in
it.
Arabic.
Yeah.
All right, let me read it. هند قبل ما تروحون أريد أقول لك شوفي هذا المفكر الإسلامي المصري الرائع كلش هو أني أتابعه وأتابع آخرين مفكرين عظماء مسلمين هم محامي هو اسمه إسلام البحيري وآخر أحمد عبده ماهر. All right, I'll check them out. She's asking me to check out 2 Islamic thinkers, and she thinks they are really good. I'll check them out. Let me take a picture of their names so I don't forget to check them out.
Okay. All right. With that, everybody, thank you so much for being with us today, and we will be back next week.
Yeah.
And have another fun topic to talk about, and maybe some new reels.
We love you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being with us the whole time. We really appreciate it. We appreciate this support. We will try our best to make you happy and to make your day and to entertain you, and as well to entertain ourselves with you. And what do you want to add, babe?
That's it. Just you guys have a great week. Go now in peace.
All right. Bye.